What's up guys, OFSREagle here bringing you a brand new video today. Today I'm bringing you the next episode of BxR, and in this one I'll be reviewing my gameplay in Plaza Slayer. If you don't know, if you're new, BxR is breakdown by review. I go into my personal gameplay of Team Arena or the HCS settings, and I review it and point out a few things that I did well, could have done better, kind of show you the finer details of my thinking, and that way I can learn from film review, which is one of the best tools you have at your disposal, and it also shows you guys how you can approach film review for yourself as well. With this, I normally have done it when I've been solo queuing. In this, I was with a team of 4 with some friends while we were streaming. Normally with the algorithm, the matching algorithm, it will also put you against another 2 teams of 2 or a team of 4, or I think a team of 3 and then 1 solo queue or something like that. But I did want to highlight this game to point out a few things that I've always held tried and true about Plaza, so let's get right into it. So at the start of the game, we're blue. If you ask me, one of the most important things to remember is that with blue side, you're going to have someone focus on snipe and someone focus on overshield, right? And the person who spawns by snipe, these 2 guys right here, they have a certain role. Now, did want to take a little side moment to point out some new tools I have at my disposal that I'm really excited to share with you guys. I found this tool allows me to highlight things on the screen in real time, just like you would see like in a football game or something like that. So these 2 guys here, it would be illogical of them to run the route towards snipe this way. And that's because they have an extra long route to take. They're obviously looking straight at the sniper over here, and that is their priority. Now, normally I like to run snipe, but in Team Arena I have to run what I'm given. I got the spawn closest to overshield. I have to run and prioritize that. Now, one thing that I always look at is as I'm running this route, I'm using my peripheral vision to see what the situation is as I'm going into it. So I know I have overshield right here, but I also am using my peripheral vision to see if there are any enemies coming by us, right? So as you see, we have one enemy already by light rifle who's going to be looking towards me, and as I'm running, I have to be aware that I'm probably going to get shot at. It may probably be a burn, as it is in most times, but when I'm running, I have to then use my peripheral vision to figure out a route for me to use, anticipating me being shot. So already, as I see this, as I'm running, I'm envisioning my route to grab the OV and then actually come around the side this way or go on top. It all depends on where I'm being shot at second by second. I grab it, and then I realize, I remember that guy was light rifle. The best way for me to cut off this field of this line of sight, it seems that he dropped. I didn't know that when I was going for OV. Let's say that light rifle guy stayed right here. He would then have a direct line of sight towards me this way. So that means I don't want to clamber up here because my back is still exposed to him. So that's why I opted to run around this way and cut off that line of sight. I'm just hidden by that top little block there. Now, that wasn't the case, but from what I saw when I was running it, that's what I had to go off of. So then I also noticed another important thing is to look at the radar. I saw that I'm looking at these little indicators on my minimap, which tells me none of my teammates, even though we were a team of 4, I'd actually only played with one of them before. We were just, running it just to have fun. None of them went snipe. And I realized I'm looking at the positioning in the map. I'm the only one who's in any sort of position to make a play for snipe. I see the indicator on the enemy on the map, so I know I have overshield. I could probably win this battle and secure the snipe. Now, normally a teammate would run this way from blue spawn to go for snipe, but that wasn't the case, so I had to adapt to it. Now, I'm going to make a statement and say, in Plaza, especially Slayer, in my personal opinion, there is optimum setup for whatever side you're on, which will allow you to control spawns, control power-ups, control power weapons, and have constant pressure on the enemy. And that is having, whichever, whether you're red side or not, having one teammate with snipe stay nest. Having another teammate occupy the position of around the posters area in here, okay? Then you want to have another person sit either on top of this pillar or up here by top gold. And then you want to have another person basically sitting glass. The reason why, if you, in my opinion, you want the positions like this, is to completely monopolize the spawns. And what I mean by that is what you have when you have this setup. Let's say you get a quick slay out. You want the sniper here. I'll start with this. I always love sitting in this area with the sniper because as long as all the other enemies are, all the other teammates are sitting in these positions, there's going to be a 90% chance that the opposite team, in this case red, will spawn all in cafe. And so they're going to only have a few routes available to them, meaning they're either going to pop out over here, they're either going to come up through this window, or run this way towards Plaza and expose themselves at this point. And then also, if they happen to make top gold, I can then navigate and look at that here. This, to me, is a very, very strong power position when you have the sniper. With one being here, he is the main person looking at overshield. So when it's coming up, he's probably going to be the one diving for it, or burning it, or applying pressure to the enemy to make sure they don't grab it. But his main sight lines are over here in dip, obviously top mid, and then we also have little peaks over by cafe, the hotel ramp, and then he can also turn and see top gold, and especially this so when someone peeks by the explosive barrel here by light rifle. He has a lot of viewpoints available to him that allow him to have multiple areas of reach without compromising position, right? By having someone around the top gold area, it allows to really have some angles into cafe that none of the other teammates have. If one of the red teammates, red enemies, let's say, if it doesn't matter what side you're on, makes it up to top gold, he can get a call out from the guy sitting by either posters or nest if he peeks it, and so he can quickly do damage that way. Or, because most of the time the enemy will be concentrated in the cafe area, he can then throw grenades into this window, whether it be by bouncing it or let's say in here. He has a lot of options available to him, and if for some reason the teammate over by posters dies while the enemy team is running for overshield, he can then apply a lot of damage as they run this route. By sitting glass, the most important role for this is to cancel out the spawns for Plaza, for the enemy. The reason why is because if we just take these three positions, none of them inherently cancel out the option of the enemies spawning in Tram or Plaza. But by occupying the glass area, he is now a negative spawn influence for these two areas, which are really key. I mean, from over here to over here, they're two separate ends of the map. And if there's no deciding factor for the algorithm to realize whether or not an enemy or whatever side should spawn here, it can then force a spawn flip, meaning that all of a sudden the enemy team spawns here and is able to flush out the guy sitting posters, the sniper sitting nest. Why I always prefer to have a teammate sitting glass when possible is because it will actually negate these spawns in here if he's looking and throwing nades that way. And also, all he has to do is a little turn of his head, and he could throw a grenade into here, and it will negate the spawns over there. Now, when you have that set up, 90% of the time, the enemy is going to continually spawn in this area. And with this lockdown, it is so hard for them to get any sort of control. With the sniper sitting here, like I said, you have so many sight lines. You can just basically cancel it all out. So, we don't hold perfect form throughout this map, throughout this game, but let's take a look into it. So you'll notice that as I was moving, I'm looking at where my teammates are, who's alive, who's dead. But with the snipe, I know if I were to go venture too far, let's say over to the tram area, right, with snipe, and die and give it up, it can really come back to bite us, meaning they can then pick it up. Now they have a sightline with snipe from glass to nest. We might have a heavy spawn influence. Then by the lift, we then lift up, and then he snipes us. So it's not often a good idea to move the snipe away from this top area of the map. If you move it to the cafe area, there's so many sides you can get collapsed upon. So I always, when I have snipe, if I'm the one with it, I will venture out about to here. That way maybe I can pick a few people off this way. But then at a moment's notice, I can quickly double back to nest. And then as you see here, it allows me to get this kill. And then the first thing I do is I'm looking, okay, my teammate is up here. Will the enemy be spawning over there? We don't have enough slays to really count on it. So what I do is then I move to S4 to get an extra height advantage. Now, one of the best things that you can do for this is when you're moving around, especially with snipe, and you're trying to figure out where to predict a spawn, look at where your teammates are. I'm a big proponent of where your teammates are, the enemy probably isn't. Where your teammates aren't, the enemy probably is. So what I'm looking at this point, the reason why I make this movement decision, at this point, I'm playing connect the dots. I see a teammate here. This is me here, and I see a teammate here, which is Pete over here. If you connect the dots, that means that basically this whole side of the map is canceled out. So what I'm then doing is the likelihood of an enemy spawning over by hotel is very low. This area of the map is cut off. Where are they probably going to spawn? That's probably by tram, which is the opposite side of the map where we have no presence. So I then position myself to look that way. And if you see, an enemy just spawned over by there, and now I'm in a position to concentrate on that. I'm not looking cafe right now because of where my teammates are. That's one of the best things you can realize is where your teammates can influence where you should look at for spawn prediction. So now here, I'm now occupying like the top mid position. Paige is over by posters. And now I see I can be of help here. I lay some fire down. Now, I don't want to push too far. Let's say I don't want to chase again. I don't want to chase the kill this way because if I do that, there's a chance for me to die and then give the enemy the sniper and have it in a position where we don't want them to be able to have certain sight lines against us. So what I'm doing is whenever I'm moving around with the sniper, I'm always trying to be aware of how quickly can I fall back to my power position at nest. Now here is a good example of what not to do with overshield. I'm able at this moment to grab overshield, right? We have good positioning, I slay out an enemy, and I'm lucky to be able to have snagged it before the enemy, right? I then have to drop. I know I'm getting shot from LR, someone over here. Okay, it was by tram loop. I have to cut off that sight line. So my first reaction is to dodge, right? Coming this way, I'm about to go top mid, but then I see this. I finish him out. And when I go for this, I'm already getting shot, probably from this guy sitting at probably top mid or top bridge. Nope, dip. Okay, he was sitting dip. And that's where I see that. I tried to attempt to clamber this ledge right here. That way I could have height advantage over him and probably get the kill. Instead, I miss, and so now I'm in a bad gunfight, and then I just end up missing my shots, and I got way too frantic. Instead of slowing down, and especially when I grabbed the overshield and dropped, I need to immediately think about how to most effectively use my overshield. I wanted to go to top mid and kind of reassess where everyone was at. I didn't have the luxury of doing that because I was getting shot at. Instead of me thrusting towards the enemy to try to engage him like I did, and I also missed the jump there, I could have just navigated around this way, cut off the sight line, and reassess and then approach it from a more calm mentality. Instead, I got really rushed, and it just forced me to waste a perfectly good overshield. Notice that the moment I spawn, I'm looking at my teammates. They're all sitting near top mid cafe. Not preferable. So I want to go in anchor the nest because I don't want the enemy to spawn at nest and then be able to flank us from behind, and then we get trapped in the plaza area. That's really to be avoided. So then the first thing I do is then I go up there and I try to have a good influence to this route, to this way. And so I'm able to then cut off Isofoxy, dies. Now, another thing is I realize a collapse when I see one. We were getting calls that there was some enemies over in the plaza and tram area, so I then move that way. But now notice with the moment what I do, I see out of the corner of my eye that the snipe's going to be up really soon. I have to prioritize that over a few kills because sure, we may get a few kills, but if I would have pushed that way, look at where my teammates would have been. If I would have pushed in here to help this guy or whatever, we would have completely left all of Nest open, and there would have been a high chance that the enemy would have spawned over there and then have the snipe and then it have a snowball effect. So what I have to do is say, you know what, I'm not going to help the teammate at this moment because we have this power weapon coming up. I need to negate these spawns. In fact, if you look, the enemy's probably going to be spawning, I have a strong feeling, of in Cafe because I'm occupying Nest at this moment. So the moment I double back, guess what? They now spawn over by the opposite side of the map. If I was not here, I guarantee you they would have spawned by the bottom lift, thereby having snipe. So that's why it's really important, especially when those power-ups are coming up, that you have presence by it so that when the enemy respawns, they don't respawn by that. Now here, I see this guy, he leaves. I see that guy up here. I take it, I cut off the sight line. Now notice, I'm weak, I cannot challenge. I thought I might have been able to take out the, use a headshot, take him out. Nothing. So then I immediately double back, and now guess what? Look at this sight line and how it snowballs in our favor. Look at my teammates. The moment I see this, that's a big thing. The moment that I saw that I had a bunch of teammates all pushing Cafe, again, a little hyper-aggressive, wouldn't have preferred it, I then immediately think, where will the enemy most likely spawn? That is going to be by tram. If you look right now, see how they're all spawning by tram now? So I'm now anticipating that and looking down this sight line to prevent it. Take one out. And then I see a teammate die over here. It means they're probably by Plaza. And so I then move accordingly, and I try to pinch them from the opposite way. I see that there was a teammate death over by Plaza. I see there a Pete and Core in a gunfight. I then go the opposite way, and I'm able to then pinch them from behind. I looked for a sightline there, didn't have it, and then I heard through callouts they're pushing back by the stairs. I'm able to do this. Then the first thing I do, move right back to Nest to make sure that we don't compromise that. It was a little risky, the play that I did there. I didn't want to leave this unattended for too long. But now look, with our positioning again, guess where they're going to be spawning? We have one top mid. We have now we have two teammates over by Plaza and Tram, not preferable. Now notice, I'm looking this way. I come this way. And once I realize what's at our disposal, now here's a flaw I do. Instead of me staying top mid, let's say on this block here, and being able to drop, cut off sightline, come back up again, I then jump. I have no option but to fall, and then I don't have any power position. Look at all these opportunities I could have had to take out the enemy. One of the enemies just went this way, one's over by Taxi, and instead all I can do is focus on this guy. I do end up getting the kill, but there was so many other better plays I could have done if I had just stayed top mid. I then also realized that they're also spawning by looking at where the teammates are. I realized we are now in the exact opposite. Because I didn't anchor top mid, I went too far forward, allowing the enemy to spawn over by Nest, and that's not what we wanted at all. See, one just came up the list because they spawned over there. If I had stayed top mid, I could have very easily, if need be, made a double back and then just come this way. But instead, I got too distracted at what was immediately in front of me. Sure, I get this kill. Now, we're in a position to where we might be able to come back to form. Me being here is very important. If I'm with my teammates right now, the enemy can continually spawn nest, and especially because what's about to come up, an overshield. And in fact, I believe they get it. We were a little absent-minded. I believe we forgot the overshield right here, and I got a little... Guess what? I got really aggressive again, and overshield is up. Because I was too busy chasing these kills here, right? I was not able to... I was not looking at the time. I was not being cognizant of it, and now we just gave up good positioning for overshield. I mean, I literally ran right past it. Now instead, the enemy is way... Look at this setup. They're in way better position to get it. One of our teammates has the green gun, but it's still not... Now look at this. Because we completely left the area, now they have the nest control. In fact, you'll probably see that because of this, they basically have the same setup that I wanted to have earlier. And guess what? This top gold guy immediately lights me up. I can't really touch the guy with the overshield top mid. There's nothing we can do. I die here. Look how that top gold guy just completely collapses on Pete. And then he gets finished out from the people sitting at nest. Now you'll see the points, them get a lot more kills in a short amount of time because now they're occupying the nest area. Here, I should not have dropped. Again, I am giving up good positioning just to chase a kill. I should not have dropped here. Instead, what happened is I could have finished out this guy here and then used the geometry to cut off the sight lines against the guy with overshield. Instead, I dropped to chase it. I get one kill, and that's about it. Instead of me staying up here to really have good control of the map. So one of the biggest things to learn right there is don't give up good positioning to chase a few kills. I mean, it's a very basic concept, but sometimes very easy to forget in the heat of the battle. So right now we're going about trade for trade, kill for kill. Once I realize where the enemy is and where my teammates are, I then see the opportunity to reestablish some good positioning here. Take out the guy posters. I take snipe. I drop. I go forward to see if I can get a quick scope here. Now, this is good positioning again. I take a nade though, and I have to retreat. Not a big fan. I quickly look. I see this guy, and I'm trying to anticipate where he might be going. I'm assuming he's going to peek right here. It doesn't happen. But the moment I can, I then go right back to my nest position with snipe, and now you're going to see how much it affects the game. Okay. I'm looking this way to make sure none of the enemies are spawning over here. And now you can see now what I'm able to do with this. Here I give up good positioning. I drop bottom mid. I really shouldn't have. At this point, I'm really being overly aggressive with this. Sure, I get a few kills here, but now look, I get some damage, I get a few kills this way. Now, because we just flushed out Cafe, guess where the enemy's spawning now? They are now spawning over by Nest, and we do not have any good vantage points for it, too. When I had this here, I should have, I can peek this way if I need to. I can see this. I don't need to push through this way. I could have, my snipe has a 2x scope, I can easily scope down this way, get a few shots, throw a grenade, and then double back the way I came because of where the spawn influence is. Look at this. Look at all these angles I could have had. Could have had this guy here. Instead, I believe right about here I drop. I completely missed that opportunity. So if I just stay with the sniper up here, I also had a teammate to cover my back if someone was coming up tram stairs. That guy dies. This guy, would have got sniped. And instead, I'm not playing to my strong suits. I have the snipe. You want a power position. You want height. Don't go bottom mid with snipe. With that, I'm going to end it. We do end up winning the entire game. Some of the things we learned is don't give up power positions to chase a few kills. Play to your strengths. What do you have? If you have overshield, you can be aggressive. If you have the snipe, you can be aggressive, but it's smarter to hold back, have power position, have a wider, broader view of the map so you can see multiple angles and have presence with it. Only really with the snipe and rockets do you have the ability for the enemy to feel your presence in multiple places in quick succession. By sitting here, I can have influence by hotel, cafe, top gold, tram, all within 3 seconds. You can't do that if you're sitting by mid with snipe. So with that, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I look forward to bringing you new episodes of this in the future. Peace.